So I'm speaking with.
Steve Boese.
And Steve, who are you with?
I work for Oracle Corporation.
But you are also the host of a long-running podcast. What is that?
Yeah, I host a podcast show called the HR Happy Hour Show.
And you were telling me you just talk about everything that has to do with HR. But there is one issue that's really getting people riled up, and what is that?
Yeah, it seems like whenever we talk on the show about companies having a hard time finding talent, a shortage of talent, maybe the skills mismatch kind of topic, that always tends to rile up the crowd a little bit, because on the one side you have that sort of appreciation for companies that really want the best talent that fit their needs and can fill a specific role and get up to speed really, really rapidly. So they're looking for a very precise, specific set of skills. On the other hand, you have lots of people out of work, lots of really talented people through no fault of their own, maybe struggling to find work or find permanent work if that's what they're looking for, and maybe with just a little bit of training or a little bit more sort of expansive view of what the job requirements might be, those folks would be great candidates and could do a great job in organizations, but yet, holding really to tight, rigid job descriptions and sets of requirements causes companies to really have a hard time actually filling the jobs. And so we have that impasse where lots of jobs remain unfilled for a long time and lots of people remain out of work for a long time. That always gets the audience going a little bit.
Yeah, this was an issue that I saw coming up on Dice News all the time. Guy said, just go to any job board and type in entry level, and you'll see how many requirements there are for, quote, entry level. And that seems it's no longer entry level.
Yeah, it's really tough, especially in the tech world, right? And you probably see that on Dice, where you'll see job descriptions will go out with a list of requirements that might ask for, say, 5 years of experience in a particular programming language that's really only been around for 3 years. And it's just, it becomes that problem where, can we look at a job or look at job candidates a bit more broadly and say, well, if a job candidate has been able to do X, Y, and Z in the past, it's quite likely they can do A, B, and C in the future, and that, if we continue to search for those exact matches, those perfect fits, I think eventually we're going to be frustrated when we can't find them, or if we can find them, everybody else wants them too, and now we're in a bidding war or we can't afford them.
So, because it's obvious that, if you want specific, program requirements, you just put them in, you filter on that. But then you never see, like say you want a Ruby on Rails programmer, but the guy's programmed everything else but Ruby on Rails, you're just never going to see them. So then it becomes a bigger problem. Now you're widening your net and you got more candidates. It now becomes a new problem, right?
Yeah, it can. Sure, it's not easy, right? And so I understand why you could say, well, let me look for that Ruby programmer, and that's because I know that's what I need. At the same time, though, you could say, well, Ruby's a language that's written, it's similar to this other language that's been around for a long time. If I just think about my requirement just a little bit more broadly, a little bit more expansively, or maybe I broaden my community I'm recruiting from, maybe I get a little bit more aggressive on my paid internships, maybe I get a little more aggressive on my contracting side, that I could find the talent I need. So, I'm not sure I have the solution for it, but I know this disconnect, the skills mismatch disconnect, comes up a lot. We hear about it a lot. HR and recruiting people talk about it all the time. And until I think the economy starts to really pick up, we'll talk about it more and more on my show and in other forums.
All right, let me just, in closing, let me ask the flip side of that question. Let's say I am a programmer, a developer, and I've got plenty of skills, but I don't have Ruby. How do I convince you to start paying attention to me?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things really. It's have you shown that ability to learn? If I can look back at your past, your history, and see you've adapted over time, that you've picked up languages over time or skills over time, that you haven't sort of rigidly stayed in the same place your entire career. In my opinion, you're going to have a better chance at convincing a recruiter or a hiring manager that you can continue to demonstrate that ability to adapt over time. And if you haven't shown that, then yeah, quite frankly, you'll have to get out there. You'll have to get invest in your own training, your own development a little bit, and be able to sort of back that up in the interview process, as well as maybe in contributions to open source sites, GitHub, Stack Overflow. Lots of opportunities for independent programmers to get out there and show their stuff as a means of proving their ability.